Ми починаємо. Я прошу експертів зайняти свої місця. Доброго дня.
Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome the experts. I welcome the participants and experts in the room who later will be invited to the panel. Today we have rather cold weather, and it looks like the cold weather is in implementation of the association agreement. And actually today we present here the monitoring, which is called Ukraine and EU Association Agreement, how to prevent the storm in energy efficiency issues. We have experts who will like to predict the problems which might be expected in this area, especially the problems for customers in result of non-implementation of the association agreement. Here we have our weather bulletin. Those who watch us in stream, later you will get access to today's session on the website of DiXi Group and UCMC. So now the first question is about the risks of non-implementation of association agreement in the energy efficiency issues. I would like to remind you that all the details, all the figures are in the published report, and today we will point out to the major items. Mr. Roman Nitsovych, head of this project, welcome everybody. I'm opening this discussion about gas sector. The gas sector traditionally is seen as more or less positive in terms of reform. Some traders come to our gas market. We have good liquidity. We have good situation with gas supplies. We have passed the second heating season without supplies of Russian gas. But there are some clouds in this on this sky, and the first storm here, the first threat is strengthening of monopoly for non-household consumers. This year we planned to reach free market for heating and gas supplies to population, and in result of the non-monetary subsidies for utility services for heating, the state appeared unable to comply fully with its commitments and obligations in line with subsidies, that is, with the payments to suppliers. This resulted in excessive monopolization of the market. Thus, Naftogaz remains the monopolist in the wholesale gas market for households and for social sphere. This second threat, which is similar to thunderstorm, is a situation around Naftogaz. The company's management allows itself to have some political views, then the governmental decisions about subordination of Naftogaz, about number of the board members. It immediately demonstrated that as soon as Naftogaz became profitable company, some political forces decided to interfere and to get a piece of this pie. While the Naftogaz controls three-fourths of import and three-fourths of the gas supplies market. Actually, this is a market maker of gas market. So all the attempts to influence this market maker, to get impact on it, to get control over it, may result in deprivation of Ukraine from all the loans, from all the international credit lines, and we should continue corporative reform of Naftogaz, which provides for unbundling, which provides for adoption of legislation that should be passed by the Ministry of Economy and Ministry of Energy. So this was a brief review of the main trends in the gas market. As for the unbundling in payments for gas and transportation is one of the preconditions of the reform, but the way how it was done, that non-transparency of this decision was a wrong step. Today, the NERC session will discuss this and make proper decision. Actually, they are doing firefighting today, but we have to prevent further such thunderstorms in the gas market area. Thank you, Roman. So we have found a lot of clouds in the reform, which looks rather sunny in line with the statements of our government. Now, Ms. Svitlana Holikova from TransEnerhoKonsaltynh, jointly with my colleague Oksana Shmylova, who reviewed the energy efficiency. I should say that our commitments in nuclear sector, our commitments in terms of Chernobyl, in respect of Chernobyl, that's they are rather successful. Here we comply with international requirements, and now when you hear that we have problems with Westinghouse fuels, please do not believe. This is not critical. We have good experts here. So the sun is present, but we have some clouds in the area of electric energy. despite the fact that with a lot of difficulties we had passed the law on electricity, on electric energy sector, it cost us a lot. There were a lot of thunderstorms during the last year, but we made a commitment in line with the third energy package. We committed to reform and transform the electric energy market. I'm not quite sure that we will implement this commitment because the draft law on the electric energy is remains unpassed, remains in the parliament. Also, there are some forces which shake the situation, and we do not pass necessary legislation for application of smart grids, for other innovative solutions. The only field in which we are rather successful, this is green energy promotion. Last year, we had almost 1,000 of households who installed solar panels, while this was considerable, almost 5-time growth. Another big cloud, this was absence of strategic vision required by European partners. We continue to mention the necessity of energy strategy, and it was promised by the deputy minister in December to present the energy strategy, but till today we do not have it. The availability of such a strategy is actually demonstration of the availability of necessary policy in this area. Without such a strategy, we cannot understand how many blackouts we have, what issues with blackouts we have, etc. And some practical issues. We had some achievement in the quality of electricity supplies. Also, we have some issues with trans-border trade and good solution to export-import operations. And there was a good discussion about connection to the grids. Unfortunately, the opinion of experts was not taken into account here. We all try to start from the positive things, but continuously observe that there are attempts to use reforms in the interests of somebody. Tetiana Boiko from OPORA company, from OPORA civil network, will present energy efficiency.
I will start with the sun. When we are speaking about energy efficiency, Ukraine can be proud of individual separate stories of success. So this is sun and it is good. But the problem is that this is not a system. And this is not obligation that we undertook before European Union, and we should decrease 20% energy consumption. If we look at the consumption of gas, we see that the population does not show dynamic to decrease of consumption on the whole. But there are separate stories, separate households, separate condominium. that decreased considerably their energy consumption, 50% or even 3 times. There are such opportunities due energy efficiency, but these are separate success stories. We can look at them, and we should be motivated by these stories. And this became possible due to warm credits provided by the state, the program that is ongoing for 2 years in Ukraine. But the problem is that this program is so popular that there is lack of money. Last year it was about 800 million, and this year the money ended. We had 400 million, and as of today, the program for physical persons does not work. The Prime Minister promised that he will find 400 million, and in the state budget provides 800,000 for warm credits and also fund of energy efficiency, but the fund is not created and people already used money, and Ukraine lives with any programs to support energy efficiency, and there are 280. Last year it was 216 local programs, but only 105 physically had financing at local level and co-financing, and the program worked for households and condominium, and they carried out energy efficiency and decreased their consumption. But in the economic situation that we have today, neither households nor houses without state support, without decrease of costs, won't be able, using only their own funds, to carry out energy efficiency measures, because this is a big burden for them. And one of the key requirements and obligation for European Union to create efficient state instruments in order to help people to decrease their consumption. The main focus is on people, households, condominium, and we lose there up to 70% of energy resources, and this is we may say that there was no system. They didn't adopt a basic package of law. 2 of them were adopted during in the first reading this year, and 2 in last year, but we do not have laws on this. But these are the requirements. There should be package of laws on communal services, commercial metering, and energy efficiency of buildings, and energy efficiency fund law. So we spoke about it for a long time, but we do not have results in the Supreme Council concerning these issues. And as I said, that energy efficiency is closely related with the reform of communal sector. And as Roman Nitsovych said, nothing changed in the system of social support, and the system should be reformed. There should be an efficient system of provision of individual subsidies, and according to surveys, about 80% of people who get subsidies, they are not poor, if we use different indicators. And also these subsidies should be monetized, and in order to do this, we understand that we cannot do this in a year. There should be step-by-step plan, but now we do not have political will for creating such a plan, and we should create a single database of those who are provided with subsidies, and the World Bank provide money for this, but as of today we do not have such a database. And I put first This is a cloud without thunder. This is just rain about when we are speaking about legislation. And here I put a picture of a thunder cloud, and this is concerning social support. And two, these systemic problems should be resolved. No matter what conditions we propose, if we do not solve these problems, we won't be able to solve overall major problems. So I give the floor to Valentyna Beliakova, Director of the European-Ukrainian Energy Agency, about the weather and business climate. So we want to see sunshine here. So I would like to start with the key component about the business climate of 2016. This is draft law adoption on Commission on Regulation of Energy and Communal Services, and I would like to put sign of sun here. No, this is rainbow. Okay, let it be rainbow. So this draft law was adopted in a fantastic way. So what this draft law provided, due to this law, the regulator is deprived of political influence from the president because all the members will be selected by the commission, and the regulator also is deprived of financial independence because the budget will be formed due to special payments of those companies that are in the sphere of the activity of the regulator. Also positive in this law is that the market and entities will get independent arbitrator that will provide the rules how to work in the market of energy, and this will attract new companies and it will improve business climate, and also it will take into account the interests of all the stakeholders, the state and end users. And also we should put a cloud here, a rainy cloud, and this draft law, it has the transition period of 18 months, and all the members of the commission should be changed. So this is the main issue for this year because nothing has started yet. So next important issue of 2016, adoption of strategy of the development of state procurement, and the main achievement is this system that is called Prozoro that provided access to state procurement, and it shifted it from printed to e-procurements and provided open access to state procurement. And here I would like to put a small cloud because we expect that this year the strategy will be implemented further, and this will be the issue of threshold procurement, and they will standardize the contracts and will open access to contracts in energy, gas sector, and it will improve business climate and will increase transparency and provide easier access to the market. And what is also of importance is the system of one window at customs. The system was positive in 2016 due to this open single window. The process became shorter, and they also simplified the procedure of supplying the documents, and we hope that it will be harmonized with European norms, and due to this they will reduce the time of customs control because it will be standardized, and in this way the turnover will increase. So we have cloud, rain, and rainbow, and we hope for the sun this year. So about the rule of connection to the grids, because there is a lot of criticism about this issue. We wrote a letter from business against this, and you know that they had 2 meetings at the regulators. They discussed the methodology and they placed a new provision for discussion, and the business reviewed this methodology, and we will speak about it later on. I give the floor to Hennadii Riabtsev.
Директор спеціальних проєктів науково-технічного центру «Psycheа».
Director of Special Projects of the Scientific Technical Center Psychea. We mentioned many times that customers are interested in quality fuels, although experts might call it differently. Experts also are interested in quality fuels. I wished to put all the clouds to our oil sector, but this sun will say you the following: half of the commitments we have not implemented yet. Half of the commitments are not implemented already. So half of our commitments, which had to be implemented by previous governments, they already forgotten. Then the new commitments that had to be implemented this year or next year, they have been being postponed and postponed for the next periods. So the necessary stock of oil and oil fuels and oil products is postponed now for 2023. But consumers have to pay for such stock, and while last year it was mentioned that each driver should pay 40 kopecks per 1 liter of diesel fuel to create such a stock. While this year we found out that we have to pay 1.5 hryvnia for the creation of the stock since 2023, and there is no guarantee that this European directive will be fully implemented. As for the quality of oil products, I think that this should be presented. This could be illustrated with the events in the Dnipro city. Here I've created a big cloud. In all the former Soviet countries, all the consumers have the right to consume quality fuel, and the requirements were established in line with the directive passed in 1998. But we do not have anybody to control the quality of the petrol fuels, and the problems which the commitments which expired in 2015, nobody wishes now to implement those commitments because they are expired. But the problem for drivers remains. Then we have several directives which are related to the topic that we will discuss next about environment. But these are requirements to the oil product market. these are requirements about control of CO2, of the hydrocarbon emissions from containers on terminals, from cisterns, from fuel storage places. Thus, such fuel storage places and containers should be equipped with a special metering, special meters. But due to the wrong translation of this directive, Ukrainian government controls certification of the seaport cranes, not tapes that open the fuel, the liquid fuels. So the question, why we do not comply with the requirements? Of course, we can find those who are guilty. The next opportunity is to correct our mistakes in implementation. Europe remains Europe sets one commitment while we implement quite different commitments. Then we should supervise those regional bodies which have to implement Now there are agencies, inspections which shape the policy. Although this is the ministry which is responsible for the policy development. We are running out of time, and that's why I'm rushing you. And now we have Ms. Natalia Andrusevych, CEO of Resource and Analysis Center, Society and Environment. Natalia will speak about our commitments in terms of environment. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I've collected almost all the clouds, but I have some sun too. We do not monitor the entire environment sector. We focus on the energy and environment directives about environmental impact analysis, access of public to environmental information, the ER directives, industrial emissions, sulfur contents in some liquid fuels, and protection of birds. The year 2016 had passed already, but if we recollect the positive movements in that year, we noticed some positive steps in terms of environment. This new minister raised awareness about environmental issues. This is our sign. But despite more wide discussion around environmental problems, the approximation issue did not witness a lot of progress. I think the champion is water sector, where the government passed the law about integral management of water resources based on the pool-driven approach. The biggest attention in 2016 was devoted to horizontal environmental directives, environmental impact analysis directive, but the president vetoed two draft laws. As for the air directives, now the Ministry of Nature announced reform about state in the area of state control over the air quality, but it is at very early stage. We had seen just the concept. Also, public had seen the concept of the state environmental monitoring and discussed it with broad public. As for industrial emissions, the major attention is focused on the state plan for reduction of huge combustion installations, but that plan had to be passed in late 2015, while today in 2017 we still do not have such a plan. As for sulfur emissions, this is partially related to what Hennadii mentioned about sulfur content and in liquid fuels. Gennady described that we are lagging behind in the implementation of this directive, and very soon we will be pointed out as the violators of the directive. If you look at the environmental sector in general, I think that non-implementation in the environment should be reviewed systemically by the ministry, by the parliament. I have taken this cloud with a thunderstorm. This is for the problem. This is to reflect the problem that environment remains not a top priority for us. So the biggest recommendation is to raise the priority of environment via strategic document passed by the government, maybe strategic documents for implementation of some European documents, and maybe to strengthen pressure from the public. The ministry had started to work in the area of waste treatment. It started discussions about reform of waste treatment, waste management, and implementation of specific directives remains imperfect. We should review what is done and to update the implementation plan. I can see Mr. Valentyna. First, let us listen to the ministry representatives. Let us listen first to the ministry representatives. We cannot change the logic. I would like to remind you that you can see all these materials in our monitoring carried out with the support of the European Commission and Renaissance Foundation, and I'm pleased to invite Ms. Viktoria Ruzhenkova from the Ministry of Fuel. She represents Ministry of Department of European Integration from the Ministry of Fuel, and Ms. We expected to see Ms. Olha Stefanishyna from Government Office for European Integration. I'm not sure Ms. Olha is here. So I invite our ministry representatives. So would you please explain in more detail what will be done very soon in the areas which you mentioned? Of course, there is not such a thing as government in general, and we cannot put all the responsibility for the aspects that were mentioned on you personally. Each official, each agency has its own scope of responsibility. So could you please reflect on what you have heard, Ms. Viktoria Ruzhenkova? First, I would like to thank you for good report, for good monitoring. We have very good cooperation with the DiXi Group. And civil society tries to follow opinion of civil society, and currently we started formation of the Civil Society Council under our ministry. This year we will need to pass a set of new directives related to the energy community. Now we have got the draft law which has passed the council. We have the gas law. We have developed the secondary legislation necessary by the gas law. From the ministry point of view, who is the key driver for changes that should be carried out? The ministry has to form the policy, and we carry out this necessary work. And Ms. Marina from the Ministry of Environment, this report prepared by experts from the project, it is interesting and it reflects the real facts. When sitting in this room, I've noticed that the environmental issues remain not among the priorities. The ministry has been with the horizontal directives because we remain at the bottom of the list, while we should raise the importance of environment. We believe that we have gained some progress. We rather actively cooperate with the Ministry of Energy, Ministry of the Regions, Ministry of Infrastructure, and try to point out to the importance of environment and strengthening of such cooperation, strengthening of the importance of environmental work will allow us to move forward. We had received several positive documents approving and supporting our new draft laws, which were vetoed by the president, and we did our home assignment. We included the position of the president to the draft laws. Then new draft law number 6106 was registered. The draft law will be hopefully passed. As for the directives about atmosphere, air, and industrial emissions, the situation is as follows. We look on these directives comprehensively. This is a big burden for producers. That's why we try to understand the scope of the burden which we will impose by our legislation upon industrial producers. Here we maintain dialogue with our European partners. Not all the documents are in full access now, because we still continue our work and wish to show some positive results. As for the birds directive, we have drafted the directive, the law about birds and about habitats, and this required a lot of work. This required very careful analysis of the current situation. The ministry is open for the dialogue, and we will be happy to hear your opinion. We will be happy to get expert support from you. We have very short time for comments and questions.
This is an important press conference. It provides us with the opportunity to speak about energy problems and how to resolve them. I would like to say that yesterday morning I came back from Brussels, and trade unions had met with the representatives of the European Union, and we were speaking about reforms in different sectors, and I was surprised that there is some misunderstanding. They get information from the government that tries to show the situation in the good light, and also those NGOs that are supported by grants, and they do not provide in-depth information. At the moment, 6 power generating stations stop their operation. People lose employment, salaries, and the communal services and energy resources increase. And Article 13 provides that there shouldn't be strike at enterprises of electricity energy enterprises if it harms the network. And I would like to focus on this issue. And yesterday was a meeting at the ministry, and the minister said that NGOs provided the assessment together with the European Union on the issues concerning corruption, and the Ministry of Energy is the least corrupt, and 90% there is no corruption. And I am surprised by this because we can name those people who are involved in corruption, who create conditions for corruption, who rob these enterprises, and they earn money in this way. So, about the concept that was discussed yesterday at the meeting of the ministry, what kind of concept? About the reform in the sector. And I said to the minister that as the head of independent trade union, I cannot sign the strategy. I didn't see the draft of this document. And he said, oh, I will give you the plan. But there is a strategy that was developed, it was announced, and they said that it is adopted at the Supreme Council at the joint meeting of the Committee on Energy and jointly with the other and 47 coal mines were closed at the controlled territories. And we should understand that when the strategy is developed, we should understand how population and industry will be provided with energy. And I would like to draw your attention to this issue. We have time for one brief question. Thank you. One comment from NGO, please. Quality control firm. So we spoke about energy issues, but no one said any words about the instruments that are used in the world and in Europe, how to resolve these issues at enterprises. So management, quality management, and ecology management that meets ISO standards. These are the instruments that help the enterprises to resolve these issues on a systemic level. And if Ukraine won't use these instruments, it will not allow to solve this problem. The enterprises should decrease their level of pollution of environment and increase their energy efficiency. And the laws in Germany, in the European Union, they provide that due to these laws, they can reduce the energy consumption 20% and to decrease energy consumption. And also there are some regulations for energy audit and to introduce quality management. And you can address organizations that carry out this monitoring to Coalition of Energy Reform and the experts that were present during this meeting. They always communicate with the experts and with journalists when I explain to them what is the concern. And trade unions and specialized experts in different fields, they have the right to be heard in the framework of discussion. That's why I call on everyone to work more actively with experts, and in such a way we will have more balanced decisions, and we all will be heard in such a way. Thank you for this active discussion. I suspect that in this hall, due to DiXi Group and other experts, we will move forward in these issues, and I thank the participants of the meeting and all those issues that were raised. This is the question to the ministers, to coalition who are responsible for the adoption of the decisions. Thank you.